To this video, I'm going to show you how I correct my drawing in Photoshop. The first thing that we're going to do before we even get to the Photoshop is we are going to change the camera setting in your phone and turn on the grid function so that when you take a photograph you have a 1/3 grid on your camera screen so you can align the photo as square as possible, or align the drawing as square as possible while you're taking the picture. Okay, so we've done that. You've imported the photo into Photoshop. You go into layers and you will select the convert to smart object. When you do that, the Photoshop will not do any changes to your photo until you press save. If you notice down here on the bottom left corner, you have the file size. Right now it's 35 megabytes. That's really big. And we really don't want to upload big sizes, so I'm going to show you how to do that in the end. Okay, make sure your rulers are on. To toggle your rulers, you do Command R, and you just pull your guidelines across into your picture. Okay, I will do 4 guidelines like this so I can see how square my pictures are. And if you want, you can also bring the guideline into your margin if you want to see how good your margins are, right? So the margin should be parallel to the edge of the paper. So I'm going to set that up. Okay. So we can clearly see what needs to be tweaked. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just zoom down a little bit and just try to get the whole picture in the screen. Okay. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go to Edit, Transform, and Skew. And I'm just going to pull this corner. I always pull the corner out instead of inwards, because if I pull it in, then I'm going to have to crop the picture. So down here it looks pretty square to me, but I'm going to go over to this side and I am also going to pull this out. So you notice that my margins are going to travel with my page. I'm going to press return and that gets me out of the skew mode. Now I'm going to press V for the select tool, and this is where you can tweak your photos. You see I have it pretty square to the margin, so I think I'm going to just leave it like that for now. It looks pretty good. You can also check your horizontals by dragging the horizontal guideline down, and you can see that it's a little bit off over here, and it's a little bit off of there. It's tilting downwards. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I am going to put another guideline in there, and I'm just going to drag this picture down a little bit. So I'm going to, instead of going to skew, I'm going to go to warp. And what warp does is it allows you to just tweak the picture on the inside a little bit, right? So I'm just, warp is set up in zones, and if you click somewhere in the photo, in your image, you'll be able to just warp that small area. It'll drag some parts of the image with it, but you could kind of fine-tune your squaring. Okay, so that's not bad, right? This little corner is a little bit off, this little corner is a little bit off, but primarily my margins are pretty square and there's very little distortion in my drawing. So I am going to get out of the guide view, which is Command semicolon, or you can go to View and you could view guides or clear guides. All of these are guide settings here, okay, in the view, right? So we're going to learn Photoshop as an extra thing in this class very slowly and just use 1 or 2 tools at the same time. But we're not going to use all the tools all at once because that would be very confusing. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Levels. That's Command L. You could find it here in Image, Adjustment. Let me show you where that is. Manually, Adjustments, and Levels, right? Command L. Okay. So again, I don't really have white in here, so I need to bring in the white. I always prefer to underexpose my shot a little bit so I have the detail, and then I can add the white. And I'm going to add a little bit more middle tones here so that I could increase the middle tones here, and this is your black tones. I don't need to adjust the output level because I want there to be a white value, but in my photo there is no white value. You see the highest white value is 215 and pure white is 255, so that's good. I'm a little bit under white, but I know that in the photo it looks like a piece of drawing paper. You could move this all the way down if you want, and you could see how it overexposes your image. So just set it to where the curve ends right here. Okay, press OK. Now the last thing we're going to do before we save is we are going to now flatten this image. Okay, and that brings everything down to one layer. So you're going to go to image, you're going to resize your image, make a resolution of 300. That's always a good ballpark. And when you do that, you have to adjust your width and height, otherwise your image size is going to be 600 megabytes. That's impossible to upload onto Canvas. And about 1,000 is pretty good, or you can even do like 1,500, right? But you really don't need more than 2,000. Okay, so I'm going to press OK. Now it resizes it. So if you want to see the actual size, you go to Command 1. And you'll see it's a pretty decent size. And now on the bottom left, you see that your document size is about 5 megabytes, which is quite reasonable. You could even make it a little bit smaller. And if you want to zoom in, you can see that I can zoom into your picture and I can still see some good detail, right? Your name should be printed on the lower right hand corner as it is presented in the how to submit drawing and presentation board page. Right, so print your name, title the drawing so we can follow what it is and where it is in our course. And if I zoom in a lot, obviously you're going to get some distortion, so we're not going to need that. This is pretty adequate. Okay, that's it for now, and this is fine for the drawing. Thanks for watching.